Hello guys, today is gonna be an interesting case. At least it was for me. For those who follow the stock market and may be looking with one eye to the crypto side, I found quite an interesting option, at least to pay attention to. And during my working morning routine, I was checking the insider activity and I found a new company ticker which I never met before, ABTC, and there were few insider purchases. Both of the directors bought shares worth altogether $2+ million. So it's attracted my attention, and I decided to check first of all the chart of the company. So it looked so messy, and I was thinking even not to go even further, but then I thought, okay, the share costs roughly $1 plus, and why would insider buy so much shares? Maybe there is some interesting story about it. So the company name is American Bitcoin Corporation, and it's already something new to me. I didn't know that there is publicly listed stock which is related to the any kind of crypto assets. So I decided to go and check the company webpage, and my surprise comes from the fact that the team of the company, the directors, the founders, are these people. So the co-founder and the chief strategy officer is Eric Trump, which belongs to the family of the existing US president, the president of arguably the most powerful country in the world. Also, if we scroll down a bit more, there is a stockholder. I believe he is a huge stockholder if he is here between the other directors and board members. Another Donald Trump Jr. Also, here is the CEO, Mike Ho. I've checked, he is a Canadian entrepreneur. Also, Justin Mateen. I believe he was or he is the co-founder of the Tinder. So there are quite a few names which are in the media. Just this fact that there is a company which is listed in a stock exchange, it's a NASDAQ. There can be the company which has the management related to the existing president of the United States, and these are the family members. And I thought, basically Bitcoin, it's like a commodity, it's like gold or oil. By the way, this is the reason why I personally don't invest in or trade anything in crypto market, because for me it's not clear how can you evaluate this kind of asset. In my opinion, it's just kind of indicator if the economy is doing fine, not even the economy, if the market is risk on or risk off. So when the things are great in the world, people are willing to risk, so they are happy to buy the risky assets, and Bitcoin and other crypto assets, cryptocurrencies are considered to be risky ones. So I had no clue how to evaluate it. So now I found the opportunity how to become a shareholder of the company which is related to the Bitcoin. And as I see, the Bitcoin price fluctuates depending on the circumstances in the world. And funny enough, the US president actually dictates these circumstances in the world. So I found it really, really strange that you can find the company with such a board of directors where the Trump family has relation to. So what does the company actually do? Building America's Bitcoin infrastructure backbone. So this is how their facilities are looking, and let's look what they do. They present their business like in three forms, or they say in three layers. And the first one, and probably the main one, is the mining. So the company is mining bitcoins, and these are their infrastructure or the big farm which they have, I believe, in Texas somewhere. Next story, they've got some treasury layer 2, and what they say: our treasury strategy leverages public market access and disciplined deployment to accelerate Bitcoin per share growth. And the layer 3, they've got some ecosystem and saying our mission is to establish America as the undisputed leader of the global Bitcoin economy. And they speak about something about innovation, advocacy, access, etc. So they basically, to understand from their webpage, they've got 3 segments of their business: mining, treasury, and ecosystem. For those who are interested to know more, you can read here. So this is their infrastructure, the factual image, not the plan as we saw earlier. Okay, as we went through the management of the company, we know who are these people. We briefly had a look at the main business segments. I decided to check how the company was performing during the past time. And to be honest, when I went through the numbers here, it just doesn't make sense to me. I thought, okay, this is something I don't know how to deal with it. I don't know how to evaluate, because all I see is the negative profit. So they are not like making money from the standard point of view. Yeah, they've got some revenue, $78-ish million. But then when you go to the statements, statistics, you can see the dilution of shares, which is enormous. So in 2024, they had 7.6 million of shares. As of today, they've got nearly 200 million shares. And this is why you can see such a messy trend here. But again, they had split here, they had split also before. And yeah, it's been very volatile. And I thought, okay, I don't know how to evaluate this company, this stock, but there must be some different metrics, because otherwise, why would the 2 directors of the company buying the stock for quite a substantial amount of money? And fair enough, I found a video, just a recent one. It was a week ago, interview with the president, and he's an interim CFO of the company. His name is Matt Prusak, and by the way, this is him. From this video, it was a kind of highlights from Q4 results 2025. He mentioned it as a strong quarter in crypto winter. So you probably know that crypto is kind of suffering now. It was, let's say, Bitcoin recently, half a year ago, $130,000. Now it's 70,000 ish. They mentioned quite a few metrics that they are paying attention to, and they actually have a different approach to what we normally use when we trying to evaluate any other stock in the stock market. Mr. Prusak said they've got 53% gross margin. So he mentioned that they've got revenue growth, as I mentioned before, $78 million. What were the benefits about the company? He mentioned that the main advantages of this company are that this is the energy efficient business. So they've got, I believe it related to the cost of energy they're using. You can see, at least from the picture, I don't know if it's true or not, if these wind generators are connected to these facilities or not. Probably yes, and probably these are the solar panels, also not clear. Well, again, funny enough that family of Trump is involved in this business, and then you can see the Trump is criticizing the wind energy as such. Yeah, and we can see it here being used. CFO mentioned that they've got a very small corporate team and back office. So again, very little expenses they've got. So these were two main benefits that I found from his interview. Also, how I understood the main idea again of the business, that this is the Bitcoin accumulating company, and how we're coming back to the point how to evaluate what they do. I've heard the number that they spent roughly $47,000 to mine one Bitcoin. So from my perspective, anything above 47K is good for them. So it means they are earning. And just because the company is making reserves of the Bitcoin, so they don't trade, don't sell them, that's why we can't look at the business results from the standard perspective, because they don't actually have like cash from the GAAP or non-GAAP standard perspective. So they don't make any profit just because they are accumulating the Bitcoins. And they make new metric for me, which is like Bitcoin per share. So, and it's fair enough if the company is focused to accumulate as many Bitcoins as possible for the cheapest price, for the less cost as possible. Their goal would be to reserve as many as possible, and obviously later on to hope that the price of the Bitcoin will grow with the time. By the way, I'll show you the part from this interview, and there was a nice question: why should we look at this Bitcoin per share metrics? So Mr. Prusak will explain much better than I can do it. So let's give him a word.
Good point. In terms of Bitcoin per share focus, I mean, you've highlighted strong growth in your, and it's a great visual, the strong growth in your Satoshi per share. Why is that the right metric for investors to focus on, and how does it guide your capital allocation decisions?
Yeah, so the reason why we think about that, why didn't we do something like earnings per share, EPS, kind of a classic CFO metric? Satoshis per share is the right metric for us because we're a Bitcoin accumulation company, first and foremost. Earnings per share just doesn't capture that, but Bitcoin per share does. A traditional miner, if we were a gold miner or even just a traditional Bitcoin miner who was selling for cash, traditional miners would optimize for EPS, EBITDA, near-term cash flow, etc. On the other hand, for us, because accumulation is that North Star, Bitcoin held per share outstanding is a much clearer metric to show where management is putting our attention. Why is this the case? Because shareholders own a slice of that Bitcoin reserve. That's what it means to be a shareholder at American Bitcoin. So if the total Bitcoin grows faster than the share count, great. If the share count were to grow faster than the Bitcoin holdings, then the shareholders are going to lose economic exposure. And that is a very clear litmus test. Now, we're not saying that every day will be, a one-way trip. You have to be strategic in terms of how you manage the ratio of Bitcoin per share, et cetera. But having Satoshis per share or Bitcoin per share as a key metric forces discipline. So if you look at Q4 and you look at us increasing per share ownership 49% quarter over quarter, that's tangible growth ownership, and that's us heading in the right direction. So
okay, now I think it makes more sense, and that's why we cannot actually rely on the typical data as we tend to measure the other stocks. So Bitcoin per share, that's the main metrics, and the revenue and the Bitcoin reserves. What I also found quite interesting, because if we have looked now, the price sits near $1, and recently was actually going slightly below. And I remember that there was some issues when the stock goes down, goes below $1. And I decided to check what are the conditions for the company to be listed in the NASDAQ, because the American Bitcoin Corporation is listed in the NASDAQ. So I've asked if the companies actually can be traded below $1. And the Gemini says that yes, a stock can be traded on the NASDAQ for less than $1, but it's a danger zone for the company. While the stock stays on the exchange, the company enters a formal delisting process because NASDAQ requires a minimum bid price of $1 for the continued listing. And here we've got some conditions for how many consecutive days it has to be below $1 to be delisted, etc. Also, there are some new rules implemented just recently, and they're speaking also about the market capitalization. Now the stock capitalization is roughly $25 million, I believe, but it's saying if it goes below 5 million, so it will be delisted for sure. If you remember, the insider trade was just slight above $1. So I think that strategically the company directors, the board management does not want the stock to see below $1. So I see it kind of a ground for this stock to be $1. It's something has to really go wrong with the company to go below $1. I think their market makers will start their business, or the insiders will do their job to try to keep it above. And fair enough, when the insider trade happened, the stock went up like 20%. What's also interesting was that I wanted to know who are the owners of this company, and the parent company is Hut8 Corporation, which owns 63+%, so which is quite a lot. Ideally, you don't want to see the company which has quite a big institutional owner. Then you can see individual insiders. Again, Eric Trump, co-founder and CSO, and Justin Mateen, Richard Bush, and also institutional investors like BlackRock and Vanguard here. Quite interesting to see them as well. But it's also mentioned that the Trump stake, while Eric Trump holds a direct 7.4% stake, the broader Trump family influence is significant, as Donald Trump Jr. was also a co-founder, and the company was formed from their private venture, American Data Centers. So in the other source, I found that it's overall like 20% belongs to the Trump family. So let's conclude a little bit. What are my thoughts about the company? First of all, yeah, I was surprised and really curious to read about the company, what they do. Also, I went through the interview of the CFO of the company, and this is the pure Bitcoin player. So they try to accumulate Bitcoins, and obviously the company will benefit with the price of Bitcoin going up. And this is probably the main metrics for the company. And instead of buying Bitcoin in any kind of the crypto exchange and to hold it in a crypto wallets or something, this is another way, another approach how you can be related to the crypto assets or crypto industry through the stock market, and also to have kind of a wall or a backup that you know that the board of directors or co-founders consist of the Trump family. And just to remind that the existing president of the arguably most powerful country in the world is Donald Trump. And if you think that the Bitcoin price is actually being dictated by the news, by what's going on in the world, so and at some point it's even being dictated by the Trump itself. It's just very interesting company. That's it. I would like to monitor more about their activity, and I might even have just a little part of it in my portfolio just to track, because when you combine this moments with the $1 for the share price. You can see the insider purchasing the company. And again, it's just good to know that these kind of companies exist in the market. And please let me know in the comments what are your thoughts. Maybe I just came from the past and everyone in the world of stock market knows about this company and just I don't know. But if you can tell me more about it, I would be glad to read. And don't forget to hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.